He was in a hurry to get his marriage license with his first love, so he signed the divorce papers without even reading them. I touched my belly and said not a single word. 10 years later, at our son's elementary school graduation ceremony, a commotion broke out in the audience. The school's biggest sponsor had arrived. I looked up and saw my ex-husband in a sharp suit walking onto the stage. He announced a 5 million yuan donation, and the whole crowd cheered. The principal excitedly asked the student representative to come up. My son was pushed onto the stage, standing side by side. Their faces were identical. He froze on the spot. I held my camera and smiled. Calm and indifferent. 01 sign it. Jasper Zhang pushed the divorce agreement toward me. The paper was thin, the words dark. His fingers tapped the table. Tap, 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 like rushing through an irrelevant procedure. I stared at his face, the face I'd loved for 5 years, now filled with impatience. All the assets are yours, he said, the car, the house, and the 500,000 in savings. I'm leaving with nothing. His tone sounded like a favor. I didn't speak. My gaze drifted past him, out the window. The sky was overcast, about to rain. My belly moved slightly, barely noticeable. Only I knew. Luna Su is waiting for me, he said again. Luna Su, his white moonlight. She was back, so it was my turn to exit. Hurry up. I have to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau this afternoon. He checked his watch. A Patek Philippe, my 30th birthday gift. To him, I picked up the pen. The nib was cold. I signed my name at the end, stroke by stroke, without hesitation. Done. I pushed the agreement back. He didn't even glance at me, grabbed the papers and stood up to leave. At the door, his phone rang. He answered it. His voice softened instantly. Luna, I'm on my way, almost there. Yeah, love you. The door closed. I was alone in the room, only the window left slightly ajar. Wind blew in, lifting my hair. I walked to the window and looked down. He hurried out of the building. A red Porsche waited below. The window rolled down, revealing Luna Su's bright, stunning face. He opened the door and got in, leaned over and kissed her. The car pulled away, merged into traffic, and disappeared. I slowly closed the window, went back and sat on the sofa. My hand unconsciously rested on my stomach. It was still flat, but a little life was quietly growing inside. Our child, no, just my child now. I took out my phone and found the prenatal report, the tiny black and white ultrasound image. The doctor said the baby was healthy. I stared at it for a long time, then deleted the photo permanently, along with every trace of Jasper Zhang in my album. I stood up and went into the bedroom, opened the closet. His clothes hung neatly in a row. I grabbed the largest suitcase, packed them all in, one by one. Suits, shirts, ties, everything. Finally, in the nightstand drawer, I found our wedding ring. He'd taken it off long ago. I'd been wearing mine. Now I took it off too, put it in the suitcase with his things. I dragged the box downstairs. It was heavy, like dragging my 5 dead years. I left it next to the community trash can, brushed the dust off my hands. It started to rain. I had no umbrella, just walked in the rain. The rain hit my face, cold, But I felt clearer than ever. My phone vibrated. A bank message. Jasper John had transferred 500,000 yuan fast. I turned off my phone, walked into a real estate agency. Hello, I want to sell my house. The community up ahead, fully decorated. I want to sell today. The agent was surprised, but got to work right away. 3 days later, the house was sold. The money arrived. I packed a simple bag and left the city. Told no one. Vanished without a trace. 0 to 10 years, a lot can change. The shape of a city, the face of a person. I went from a housewife dependent on her husband to a well-known commercial photographer in the industry. From Mrs. John back to Zarazu. These 10 years were hard. When I first arrived in the new city, I had less than 3 million yuan total. I rented a tiny apartment, puked through morning sickness while looking for a job. At my lowest, I ate instant noodles for a month straight. On the day I gave birth, my water broke. I called 120 by myself, labored for over 10 hours before the baby came. A boy. The nurse laid him in my arms, tiny, wrinkled, eyes closed, sleeping soundly. I looked at him and burst into tears. All the grievances and hardships of 10 years melted away the second I saw him. I named him Zane Zhang, a name that held a quiet longing, but I never called him his full name, just Zane. Zane was my light, the only reason I kept going. I raised him while working, started as a basic photography assistant, carried equipment, set up lights, edited photos day and night. Later, I took my own clients, shot portraits, weddings, then opened my own studio, shot commercial ads. My reputation grew. Clients got more high-end. Life slowly got better. I bought a big house, hired the best tutors for Zane, sent him to the top private elementary school in the city. He was outstanding, smarter and more sensible than kids his age. Never worried me about his studies. Ranked first in the school every year. Became student body president. He was my pride. On weekends, I took him to amusement parks, science museums, anywhere he wanted to go. I tried to give him all my love, to fill the empty space in his life. He rarely asked about his father. I told him Dad was working far away. He nodded, half understanding, and never asked again. Sometimes late at night, watching his sleeping face, those eyes and eyebrows almost identical to Jasper Jiang's, I still felt a sharp pain, but I never regretted it. Jasper Jiang, I hadn't said that name in 10 years. I thought we would never cross paths again in this life. I tore him out of my life, roots and all. Buried all the love and hate in the dust of time. I thought it was all over. 03. Zane's elementary school graduation was set for mid-June. The school sent an invitation, exquisitely made. It said a mystery guest would attend the ceremony, an outstanding alumnus and the school's largest donor. I didn't care about any of that. I only cared about Zane. He was the graduate representative and would speak on stage. He wrote his speech himself and read it to me. Clear logic, sincere words, nothing like a 12-year-old. Mom, will you come? He asked, looking up. His eyes sparkled like stars. Of course. I ruffled his hair. Mom will take tons of photos of you. Capture your coolest look. He smiled happily. I prepared for the ceremony, ordered a new little suit for him, bought new leather shoes, even got a haircut specially. I picked out a decent dress for myself, put on light makeup. I wanted to be his most dignified parent. On the most important day of his life, 1 week before the ceremony, I received a commercial shooting offer from a famous real estate company in the city, shooting their property ads. The pay was excellent, but I hesitated. The shooting location was the city I'd left. I hadn't been back in 10 years. That place held too much of my past. I didn't want to step foot there again, but my assistant said they specifically asked for me, a recognition of my professional skills. I thought about it and agreed. Just go back and close that chapter. I left Zane with our nanny and flew over with my team. When the plane landed, looking out at the familiar airport, I felt nothing. 10 years was long enough to smooth everything over. The shoot went smoothly. The company was extremely satisfied with my work. At the celebration dinner, the project leader kept toasting me, "Miss Zhu, we've long heard of you. Such a pleasure working with you." I smiled and responded politely, but just wanted to end early and go back to Zane. "Oh, Miss Zhu," the leader suddenly said, "our boss also loves your work. He wanted to come today but had a last-minute meeting. He said he'll thank you in person next time. Our boss's surname is Zhang, Jasper Zhang." My smile froze. The wine glass in my hand shook. Red liquid spilled onto my white dress, like a blinding pool of blood. Jasper Zhang, the world is small. I ran for 10 years, but still crossed paths with him. "Miss Zhu, are you all right?" the leader asked concernedly. "I'm fine," I recovered, setting down the glass. "Sorry, I need to use the restroom." I hurried into the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and washed my hands over and over with cold water. The woman in the mirror was pale, but her eyes were unusually calm. "It's no big deal, Zara Zhu. You're not the helpless woman from 10 years ago. It's just Jasper Zhang. You don't have to be afraid of him at all now." I collected myself and walked out, went back to the table and continued socializing as if nothing had happened. After the dinner, I declined the arranged ride, took a taxi to the airport alone. Sitting in the car, I watched the streets blur past. 10 years. This city felt both familiar and foreign. I wondered how he was doing now. Still with his Luna Su. Those thoughts flashed by, and I quickly snuffed them out. None of my business anymore. Zero for when I got home. Zane threw himself into my arms immediately. "Mom, I missed you so much." I held his small body, my heart softening completely. This was my whole world. The day before the graduation ceremony, I took Zane to a newly opened family restaurant. The decor was playful. Zane loved it. We chose a window seat. He chattered away about funny things at school. I listened with a smile. I kept putting food on his plate. "Sarah." A hesitant female voice came from behind. I turned around. A well-preserved face came into view. It was Luna Su. She was wearing a Chanel suit and carrying an Hermes bag. After 10 years, she hadn't changed at all. Still radiant. Jasper Zhang stood beside her. He saw me too. Surprise flickered in his eyes. then quickly returned to the cold indifference of a business elite. He was more mature than 10 years ago, and more of a stranger. It really is you, Zarazu, Lunasu laughed. Walking over to our table, her eyes swept over me, then landed on Zane. This is your son. He's adorable, married. Her tone sounded like an interrogation. No, I said calmly. I didn't want to talk to her. Oh, she raised an eyebrow. Raising a child alone must be hard. Not like me. Jasper John never lets me worry about anything. She linked her arm through his affectionately, as if claiming ownership. Jasper John didn't look at me. His gaze stayed fixed on Zane's face, with an indescribable curiosity. Zane seemed to sense the strange atmosphere. He put down his cutlery and looked at me quietly. Mom, who are these people? People we don't know, I said. Luna Sue's face darkened. Zarazu, you're still as ungrateful as ever. Our Jasper John is a big boss now. For old time's sake, he could even help you. How much can your tiny studio make? I smiled. My business doesn't concern Mrs. John. We're finished eating. We'll be leaving. I took Zane's hand and stood up to leave. Stop. Jasper John suddenly spoke. His first words tonight. His voice was deep, with an undeniable command. I stopped and turned back. What's the child's name? He asked, his eyes still on Zane. My heart sank sharply. It's none of your business, I said coldly. I pulled Zane and walked quickly out of the restaurant. Back in the car, I could still feel Jasper John's gaze, like a thorn in my back. Mom, who was that man? Zane asked softly. Someone unimportant, I said, starting the car and keeping my voice steady. Zane, if you see them again, just ignore them, okay? He nodded obediently. I didn't know if Jasper John suspected anything. Zane looked just like him, especially those eyes, and the way he pressed his lips together. For the first time, I felt a flicker of panic, but I calmed down quickly. So what if he suspected? We hadn't been connected for years. He had no right to interfere in my life, let alone in my child's. 05. The graduation ceremony went ahead as planned. The school's auditorium was decorated solemnly and warmly. Parents arrived in their best clothes, all with proud smiles. I straightened Zane's little suit bow tie. Don't be nervous, I told him. He nodded, his little face tight with focus. Mom, I'm going in first. I need to get ready backstage. Okay, go on. I watched his small figure disappear into the backstage entrance, then took a low, inconspicuous seat. Next to me was a professional camera crew hired by the school. I took out my own camera like a M11, adjusted the settings, and pointed the lens at the stage. I was going to capture every shining moment of my son myself. The ceremony began. The principal gave a speech first, then a teacher representative. The process was long, but I listened carefully, because I knew my Zane would be up soon. Now, let's welcome with our warmest applause our most distinguished alumnus, and our most generous sponsor, Mr. Jasper John. The host's voice was loud and excited. Thunderous applause erupted throughout the hall. My fingers tightened around the camera. Jasper John, so the mystery guest was him. I watched him walk onto the stage in a custom-made suit, steady and composed, The spotlight fell on him, making him look almost godlike. He walked calmly to the podium, smiled and waved to the audience. The parents grew even more excited. Many took out their phones to take pictures. My lens locked firmly onto him. 10 years apart, he was more successful and better at pretending. I stared at his standard business smile in the viewfinder. It felt bitterly ironic. A man who abandoned his pregnant wife for a new love. A man who ignored his own flesh and blood for 10 years. Now he stood here, as a successful person, a philanthropist, worshipped by everyone, ridiculous. I pressed the shutter calmly. 06. Dear guests, teachers, and students, Jasper John began. His voice carried through every corner of the auditorium, calm and magnetic. Returning to my alma mater today, I feel deeply at home. Seeing so many vibrant young faces, I see my own younger self. He began telling his inspirational story, how he grew up from an ordinary child to what he was today. The story was uplifting, full of positive energy, and drew waves of applause. Then he changed the subject, talking about family and responsibility. No one succeeds without the support of their family. I am deeply grateful to my wife, Miss Luna Sue. Her silent support behind me is what allows me to focus on my career. I saw Luna Sue in the front row, wearing a triumphant smile. So I hope all of you, no matter how successful you become in the future, will never forget your family. Never forget your responsibilities. He spoke so nobly, I almost felt sick. Responsibility. Did he even deserve to say that word? To show my gratitude to my alma mater, and to provide a better learning environment for the children, I have decided to personally donate 5 million yuan for the construction of a new library. As soon as he finished speaking, the whole hall erupted. Applause and cheers almost lifted the roof. The principal rushed onto the stage excitedly, shaking Jasper Jiang's hand tightly. Thank you so much, Chairman Zhang. On behalf of the entire school, thank you. Flashlights flickered endlessly, recording this touching moment. Jasper Zhang wore a perfectly modest smile, enjoying everyone's admiration and praise. He had gotten what he wanted, fame and fortune. I watched coldly, my fingers steady on the shutter. Wait, the real show was just starting. I zoomed the lens in on his face, taking a close-up, this smug, satisfied face. I wanted to see exactly how it would change. 07. After the donation ceremony, the principal warmly kept Jasper Zhang on stage. Chairman Zhang, you are a role model for all our students. Today, our graduate representative also has a few words for you and for our alma mater. Now, let's welcome with warm applause our most outstanding graduate of this year, our student representative. My heartbeat quickened. My palms sweated slightly. Here it comes, finally. I saw the backstage curtain pull open. My Zane, in his neat little suit, stepped out with steady steps. He wasn't nervous or shy like other children. A calm smile rested on his face, his eyes clear and determined. Step by step, he walked toward the stage, toward the man he had never met, but to whom he was bound by blood. All eyes in the hall focused on this exceptionally outstanding boy. People murmured in admiration at his looks, his composure, His Grace. Then, gradually, the whispers turned to quiet gasps, because when Zane stood beside Jasper John, everyone realized the shocking truth. This boy and Jasper John looked far too alike, like they were carved from the same mold. Same eyes, same nose, same lips. Even the slight, serious press of his mouth was identical. The murmurs grew louder. Luna Sue in the front row had lost all her smile, replaced by stunned, panicked fear. And Jasper John on stage, he looked down at this suddenly appeared, unfathomably familiar child. He froze as if struck by lightning. His smile faded bit by bit. His eyes filled with shock, confusion, and a panic he couldn't even understand. He forgot where he was, forgot the hundreds of eyes watching him. He just stared at Zane, as if trying to dig an answer out of that young face. 08. Time seemed to stand still. The auditorium fell completely silent. Only the sound of my camera shutter clicking, over and over. It was me. I was recording, capturing every tiny shift in Jasper Jiang's expression, from shock, to confusion, to a faint, rising fear. It was spectacular, better than any commercial blockbuster I had ever shot. The principal clearly didn't sense the strange tension. He continued dutifully as host. He handed the microphone to Zane, then smiled at Jasper John. Chairman John, look how excellent this boy is. Doesn't he look just like you when you were young? Jasper John didn't answer. His lips moved, but no sound came out. The principal didn't notice. He turned to the audience and announced proudly, "Dear guests, this is the pride of our school, our graduate representative. He has excellent grades, masters piano and Go, and is a role model for all students. Let's welcome the principal." Paused, as if to make the name carry more weight. He cleared his throat and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Student Zane Zhang, Zane Zhang." The moment those two words clearly reached Jasper Jiang's ears, his body jolted violently, as if hit by an invisible force. His face turned deathly pale in an instant. No color at all. He staggered back a step, staring at the boy in front of him in disbelief. Zane Zhang, a name he had buried for 10 years, a woman he thought would never be connected to him again. Zara Zhu. He shot his head up, his gaze like a blade, searching the audience wildly. Then he saw me, sitting in the back of the auditorium, camera in my hand, lens pointed straight at him. Our eyes met across the air, across 10 years, across 1,000 people. I saw the storm raging in his eyes. I smiled at him, light and calm. Then I pressed the shutter, frozen in that moment, the most embarrassed, most undone second of his life. 09 Zane began his speech. His voice was clear and steady, carrying through the auditorium via the microphone. Respected leaders, teachers, dear uncles, aunts, and classmates, good morning. I am Zane Zhang, your graduate representative. He had no idea who the man on stage was to him, no idea of the undercurrent surging below. He simply delivered his carefully prepared speech earnestly, thanking teachers, thanking the school, looking to the future. He spoke beautifully, drawing waves of applause, but few people were really listening anymore. Everyone's eyes darted back and forth between him and Jasper John. Whispers spread like a tide. That boy, he looks just like Chairman Zhang. Yeah, like they're cut from the same cloth. And his surname is Zhang. Could he be Chairman Jiang's secret son? Oh my god. This is huge news. Luna Su sat in the front row. Her face had gone from pale to green. She squeezed her back so tightly. Her knuckles turned white. The look she shot me was full of venom and hatred. I smiled back innocently. You brought this on yourself. If you hadn't been so aggressive, if you hadn't shown up at that restaurant, I might not have gone this far. But it was too late now. Zane finished his speech, bowed, and prepared to step down. Wait. Jasper Zhang suddenly spoke, his voice hoarse. He grabbed Zane's wrist. His grip was so tight that Zane frowned. You? Jasper Zhang stared fiercely at Zane. Who is your mother? His voice was shaking. Zane was frightened, looking at him helplessly. My mom. She's down there. He pointed straight at me. Jasper Jiang's gaze shot toward me again. This time, his eyes were bloodshot, like a trapped animal driven to the edge. Zarazu, he practically roared. Get up here. The whole hall erupted in shock. Everyone was stunned, watching a scene straight out of a TV drama. The principal was also confused. Chairman Zhang. Chairman Zhang. What? He tried to intervene, but Jasper Zhang shoved him away. Tell me. Jasper Zhang had clearly lost all reason. He shook Zane by the shoulders. Whose child are you? Zane burst into tears. Let go. You're a bad man. I could no longer sit still. I set down my camera and rushed quickly toward the stage. I pushed through the crowd, stepped onto the platform, snatched Zane from Jasper Jiang's grasp, and held him tight. Zane, don't be afraid. Mom's here. I soothed him softly. Then I lifted my head and looked coldly at Jasper Zhang. President Zhang, messing with my son in front of so many people. Is this what you call upbringing? 10. My voice wasn't loud, but in the silent hall, it cut sharply. Jasper Zhang looked at me. His eyes were terrifyingly red. Zarazu, you're crazy. Why did you do this? Why didn't you tell me for 10 years? He's my son, isn't he? He sounded half accusatory, half begging for an answer. So what if he is? I sneered. Who are you to ask me that now? My ex-husband, or a stranger? 10 years ago, when you signed the divorce papers, you weren't this emotional. When you abandoned us for another woman, did you ever hesitate? My words stabbed into his heart like knives. All color drained from his face. His lips trembled, but he could not speak. The audience erupted completely. Everyone understood. This wasn't a secret child. This was the son of the original wife, his own flesh and blood, abandoned by the glorious Chairman Zhang. In an instant, everyone's gaze toward Jasper Zhang changed, from admiration to contempt and disdain. Luna Su could no longer sit still. She rushed onto the stage, pointed at me, and screamed, Zarazu, you schemer, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You just can't stand seeing us happy. You want to ruin Jasper Zhang, ruin us. Slap. I slapped her without hesitation, clear and loud. The entire hall went silent. Luna Su covered her cheek, staring at me in disbelief. You hit me. Hit you. So what? I looked at her, eyes ice cold. Luna Su, For 10 years you've enjoyed everything that should have been mine and my son's. I didn't come for you, that was my generosity. But you shouldn't have come to show off in front of me. And you definitely shouldn't have insulted me in front of my son. That slap was what you deserved. Luna Sue trembled with rage, about to speak again. But Jasper John yanked her back. Enough. Stop making a fool of us. He snarled at her. Then he turned to me, his eyes full of complicated emotion, regret, pain, and a trace of pleading. Zara. He used my old name. Can we talk, please? For the child. I have nothing to say to you. I cut him off. Jasper John. The second you signed those papers, we were done. Zane is only my son. He has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with the John family. With that, I didn't look at him again. I bent down, picked up my still sobbing son, and said softly, Zane, don't cry. Let's go home. Under the gaze of 1,000 eyes, I held my son, stepped down from the stage step by step, walked through the entire auditorium, and walked out the main door with my head held high. Behind me, Jasper Jiang's world collapsed completely. 11. I took Zane home. He was upset, clinging to me without speaking. I made him warm milk and sat beside him. Mom, that man. After a long while, he spoke quietly. Is he my dad? I was silent for a moment, then nodded. Yes, legally, he is, but he's not a good dad, so you don't have to acknowledge him. Zane, you have me. That's enough. Zane looked at me, half understanding. Why didn't he want us? There was a trace of grievance in his voice. My heart felt pricked. This was the question I feared most. I stroked his head gently. It's not your fault, Zane. The adult world is just complicated. Mom promises I'll never let him hurt you again. He buried his face in my chest and fell quiet. I knew this had hit him hard. I needed time to heal the wound in his heart. That afternoon, my phone blew up. All calls and messages from Jasper John. I didn't answer a single one, blocked everything. When he couldn't reach me, he contacted my assistant, my friends, anyone who could get to me. My assistant called me, sounding troubled. Miss Zhu, President Zhang. He says he wants to see you. He says he's willing to pay any price. I won't see him. My answer was short. That night, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. It was Jasper Zhang. He stood outside my door, looking haggard. His suit was wrinkled, his hair messy. Gone was the high-spirited man from the stage. I didn't open the door. He just waited outside. From daylight until dark. Early the next morning, I took Zane to a graduation trip with his classmates. As soon as I opened the door, I saw him leaning against the wall. He hadn't slept all night. His eyes were bloodshot. When he saw me, he straightened immediately. Zara, his voice was hoarse. We need to talk. I told you. There's nothing to talk about. I took Zane's hand, stepped around him, and prepared to leave. But he grabbed my arm. I'm begging you. Just 10 minutes. Zane is my son. I have the right to know about his 10 years. Right. I laughed as if hearing the funniest joke ever. Jasper John, what right do you have? Did you pay a single cent in child support? Did you take care of him even one day when he was sick? You did nothing. For 10 years, you ignored him completely. Now you think you can stand here as his father. I shook off his hand. Don't bother us again. Otherwise, I'll call the police. I took Zane and walked into the elevator without looking back. I thought he would give up, but I underestimated how shameless he could be. A few days later, I received a court summons. Jasper John sued me. He wanted custody of Zane, 12. I hired the best lawyer in the city. The case lasted 3 months. Jasper John used all his connections and money, trying to prove I was an unfit mother. He claimed I was too busy with work to care for my son. He even had people spy on me and fabricate affairs with male clients. His methods were despicable. On the day of the hearing, his lawyer came on aggressively. Miss Sue, during the 10 years after Mr. Zane John was born, did you inform my client of the child's existence? No. Then, did you deprive my client of his right to know and to visit his child? I did not deprive him of anything. He gave up the right to be a father on his own. Gave up? Do you have any proof that my client voluntarily abandoned his child? He signed the divorce papers, left with nothing, and cut all ties with my son and me. That is proof. The agreement does not state that he gave up custody. The lawyer sneered, because at that time, he had no idea the child existed. You, Miss Sue, selfishly hid the truth for 10 years. I looked across at Jasper John's hypocritical face. He looked so innocent, so wronged, as if he were the victim. I smiled. Your Honor, I stood up and looked at the judge. My lawyer will submit a piece of evidence to the court. It was a recording. The recording of my conversation with Luna Sue at the restaurant. Luna Sue's voice came through clearly. Zara Sue, you're still as ungrateful as ever. Our Jasper John is a big boss now. For old time's sake, he could even help you. How much can your tiny studio make? When the recording ended, the court fell silent. Jasper John and Luna Sue looked absolutely terrible. My lawyer stood up. Your Honor, this recording clearly proves that before the graduation ceremony, Mr. Jasper John and his current wife had already met my client. They saw the child, yet did not acknowledge him at the first opportunity. Instead, they humiliated my client with a condescending, insulting attitude. This proves they have no real affection for the child. The reason Mr. Jasper John is fighting for custody now is not out of love. It is because he cannot bear the slightest flaw in his perfect public image. He wants to use money to cover his mistakes and silence the public. A father like this does not deserve custody. In the end, the court ruled. Jasper John's claim was dismissed. Custody remained with me. When we walked out of the courthouse, the sky was blue. The sun was bright. Jasper John chased after me and blocked my way. He looked as if he had aged 10 years overnight. Zara, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Give me one more chance. Okay, let's remarry. I'll give all my property to you and Zane. I swear I'll be a good father, a good husband. I looked at him, at the face I once loved. My heart was completely calm. Jasper John, I said, do you know what? 10 years ago, when I dragged that suitcase out of that city, I told myself, I will never look back in this life. Some mistakes, once made, last a lifetime. We can't go back. I walked around him and kept going. The sun shone warmly on me. Across the street, I saw my Zane, with his little backpack, waving at me, a bright, beautiful smile on his face. He was my entire future, and Jasper John, along with that ugly past, could stay behind me forever. This story fully reveals the price of reckless choices and highlights the strength of independent women. The hero hastily divorced for his first love, turning a blind eye to his pregnant wife. A decade later, he became successful, yet confronted his evasion and debt at his son's graduation ceremony. The heroine, however, took on everything alone. She transformed from a desperate housewife into an outstanding photographer and raised her excellent child. Faced with the hero's belated realization, she refused soberly and firmly defended her life and her child's. It warns us that love and responsibility must not be lightly betrayed. When in the depths of despair, self-reliance is the way to break through, and those who evade their duties will eventually pay for their choices.